Well, I think they're going to have to be careful on how they restructure it if they do, because it's also responsible for an 85% reduction in violent crime in New York
Do
City.
you still believe in it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Chief Craig, do you feel any pressure in the aftermath of an incident like Freddie Gray to change your policing strategy with an eye towards so many individuals being incarcerated?
You know, I'll tell you that I think in Detroit we're doing a great job. And I think the real key, you know, and it's been talked about over and over again, what do communities want? I know here in Detroit, one of the things I heard 21 months ago when I arrived here was gas stations and the kind of activity that went on in and around gas stations. I'm talking about those low-level offenses. The community wanted change, and so we respond to that. But in addition to taking care of these low-level crimes, we can see and realize a reduction in violent crime. So we just can't ignore it, and it's the community that's driving it. They want that change and that response.
I mean, if you don't enforce those lower level crimes, you're going to hear about it from your constituency, is what you're saying. People want law enforcement to come out and enforce those crimes.
They absolutely want law enforcement to come out. No doubt about that. They want us to respond. I mean, you talk about a city like Detroit that has historically high violence, but what I hear about is the lower level offenses. And so people expect it. And we're going to continue to support the community. They ask for change, and we're going to give that to them.
Bernie, in this particular case, the Freddie Gray case, the prosecutor is saying that there never should have been an arrest to begin with. But thereafter, this is a case about what the police didn't do. They didn't belt him in. They did not render first aid when he called for it. How unusual to see a prosecution like this premised upon inaction by law enforcement.
Well, it's not the norm, and I think there's still a lot of information that we don't have. When I listen to the charges, personally, I think I don't think her charges meets what I've seen. But
you don't think so?
I don't
Why
think
not?
so. Well, you know, a murder charge, where's, you know, there has to be intent. I just don't see it. And the strapping him in, where the cops are aware of the order, where the cops given training on the order. There's a whole bunch of stuff that has to happen when an order like that goes out, number one. Number two, calling for medical service. If he was asking for medical assistance should have been called.
There's a reference in the Baltimore Sun today, and the Sun had this inside look at the police investigation into what went wrong here, and there's a reference to jailitis. They say that their interpretation of what was going on in the back of that van is that this was a guy with jail. He was making it up. Do many of them make it up? Is that common?
Well, listen, a couple things. One, you know, they fall, they go limp, so you can let them up, so you can let them loose, then they run. You know, they're calling for, you know, they can't breathe. The whole I can't breathe thing, 50, 60, 70% of the time, I can't breathe, you let them loose, they bolt. And I'm sure, you know, these cops, and I'm not saying that's the case, but that happens. It does happen all the time, and the cops are used to it.
Chief Craig, what surprised you about the allegations made about the 6 who were arrested here in Baltimore?
Well, you know, the seriousness of the allegations certainly, and I think Bernie hit on something key. I mean, what were the rules in place at the time? Certainly, if the prisoner is not properly situated in a van where he can't cause harm, or what occurred prior to that. But I don't know all the facts, and so I'm not so quick to judge why so many were charged and how they were charged, just what really took place. I mean, the real key is this. You know, people want to know that the system is working. And when you look at what we're doing here in Detroit, we had an officer-involved shooting incident this past week that potentially there could have been an unrest situation. But I like to just point out that capital, that trust capital, that as police chiefs, as police departments, that we must maintain in advance, not react to a situation, but be proactive about those relationships. And it goes a long way in instilling peace.
There's a whole conversation now playing itself out about incarceration levels. Bernie, you're uniquely qualified. As the title of your book stated, from jailer to jailed. You were in charge of the New York City Corrections Department. You then spent time in a federally gated community yourself. What did you learn on the inside that you didn't know when you were in charge of the prison system?
Mike, 1 second. I just want to touch on something. I want to give my thoughts and prayers to Brian Moore, the cop in New York City last night.
Was shot last night in the
was
face.
Shot in the face. I think shot in the chest. He's in stable condition. I want to send my thoughts and prayers to him and his family. I went to federal prison and I realized we are putting thousands upon thousands of people in prison for first-time nonviolent offenses. And I think it's destroying communities, it's destroying families. People have to be held accountable for their actions, but I think there's plenty of ways to do that without creating a permanent underclass of society, and that's, in many cases, that's what we're doing.
You came out with a changed perspective. You believe that there are now thousands, tens of thousands of individuals who are incarcerated who don't deserve to be there.
Well, a lot of it, you could relay it to some of the things that go on in Baltimore and other cities around this country. Take Detroit or take Baltimore state charges, first time, low level, minor drug offense. It may be a misdemeanor. It may be, community service or probation, or give them a second chance. In the federal system, that kid gets 10 years, 15 years. You monsterize them. You turn them into a thug.
And then they're unemployable once they get out.
Forever,
Yeah.
for the rest of their life.
Chief Craig, quick final question, if I might. Bernie makes reference to that officer who was shot in the face last night. Do you worry about the vulnerability of police in the aftermath of all of this attention because perhaps they're now too timid in how they go about their jobs?
Well, I am worried. I'm always worried. Certainly, we're in a heightened state at this point, more than I've seen in my 38 years in policing. But, our police officers treat people with respect and dignity. And I do not want our cops laying back and saying, well, should I take action or should I not? And then we suffer a loss. We constantly have these discussions. I think one thing that's very important, especially as a chief executive, police chiefs across the country, is that we support our police officers. And when police officers know that the police chief and the ranking members of the organization support them, they're more apt to go out and do the job the way it needs to be done. And that's not to say that we're not going to have mistakes. Mistakes are going to happen, and when they do happen, we address it as such. And so that's very important. Setting the appropriate tone as a chief of police is critical.